I don't want to blow smoke up anybody's you-know-what. If he's going to be a Los Angeles Laker, there's only one way that's going to happen. So let me continue to play this.
Two things you have to know about the Bucks when you consider a trade. Number one, the Bucks do not control their first-round pick for 5 years. That means if the Bucks are going to trade him, thinking that they're going to tank for the next 3 years and rebuild is not going to happen. They need quality players. And the other thing that you need to know is if you're going to trade Giannis to a team that's going to be a super team, getting that team's draft assets is not exciting because they're not going to be very high picks for the next few years. So you're going to look at teams that have players to trade and other teams' draft assets that they can trade besides theirs. San Antonio and Houston, San Antonio and Houston, San Antonio and Houston. Pay attention there. And the other thing is Brooklyn, because Brooklyn has Phoenix's future drafts, yes. But Brooklyn's current players, not that strong, not as exciting of a player acquisition. The other team to watch, the New Orleans Pelicans. Why would I say to watch the New Orleans Pelicans? Because the New Orleans Pelicans control the next 3 drafts of the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you're going to do a deal with the Bucks and you want to open the door for them to do a rebuild, you may have to go to New Orleans, try to get the Milwaukee stuff out of New Orleans, and then offer it back to the Bucks. Of course, the Pelicans could make their own offer, but I suspect that what they're going to try to do is a 3-team trade. All of these things will be clarifying once Giannis makes a decision and once we see what the lottery results are tonight.
All right, that's a little bit more specific there from, obviously from Brian Windhorst. A couple things on that front. Now he's attaching actual teams to watch out for. He's, obviously talking about how important it is to see what the draft lottery looks tonight. I like how Shams mentioned that as well. Like, look, you got all these GMs. Everybody's in Chicago. Everybody's getting ready for this NBA draft tonight. At least the lottery, not the actual draft, but the lottery. But the lottery is the most important thing. The lottery is going to say, okay, who's got the number 1 pick? Who's got 2? Who's got 5? Who's got this? It's supposed to be a deep draft this year as well. So something to keep in mind. The one thing that, I take away specifically from what Windhorst says, which is already given me a migraine. Did you see the top 2 teams that he said, watch out for the Houston Rockets? And you could call it the 3 teams. Watch out for the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Pelicans. Does the Western Conference need another freaking all-star Hall of Famer in the West? My God. I mean, how many different players? Go look at the West this year, and we're complaining about Minnesota being a 6 seed or Memphis being an 8 seed. These teams won 48, 49 games this year. 48, 49 games this year. If Giannis ends up leaving the Eastern Conference and he comes over to the Western Conference, and whichever team that he plays for, it's like you're basically taking the best team in the East or the best player in the Eastern Conference, and you're bringing him over here in the Western Conference where it's already a freaking complete maze to get out of the Western Conference. Those 2 teams, by the way, that he mentioned, the Houston Rockets and the San Antonio Spurs, my God. I mean, if sometimes there's a benefit to watching teams maybe think they're better than they are. I think for the Rockets, it was probably even better for them to lose in the first round and say to themselves, we won how many 50-plus games and we couldn't get out of the first round. Well, now they feel like they got to go all in. They got to go get better players. They got to go get better stars. We'll see what eventually happens. There's only one way that the Lakers can be in this conversation for Giannis, period. And I know most people that are on here, that's what they want to hear. They want to talk about the conversation. Al, is there a way that the Los Angeles Lakers are able to grab Giannis Antetokounmpo? I'm going to be, part of my job here is to just be realistic. There is only one way the Lakers can get Giannis. There's only one way. Because you can put together whatever draft package that you want. I was reading some articles this morning, and I was looking at, what some of the packages out there are. If you're telling me that Austin Reeves and Rui Hachimura and your 2031 pick and then maybe some pick swaps is enough to get Giannis Antetokounmpo, then I would tell you, I don't know what the hell the rest of the NBA is doing, but that makes no sense to me. No, I don't think the Milwaukee Bucks are giving up Giannis Antetokounmpo, one of the best assets if he becomes available in a trade that we've seen in a long, long time. And I know this has happened and other players, stars have got traded before. I don't think Austin Reeves, Rui Hachimura, a 2031 pick, Dalton Connect, and a couple draft swaps are going to be enough to get it done. No, I don't believe that. The only way the Lakers have a shot here, and this is really completely just up to Giannis Antetokounmpo. Does Giannis want to be a Laker or no? Does Giannis want to play with Luka Doncic for 5 years? Does Giannis look at Luka Doncic and say to himself, that's the perfect pairing for what Luka needs and what I could use as well? That's the perfect pairing. By the way, it is kind of the perfect pairing. I mean, if you told me, if I'd have told you January 1st that if Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss were sitting in a room together and they said, hey, you could have any 2 players in the NBA, which 2 players would you take? There's probably a good chance they're going to say, we'll take Luka from Dallas, and how about Giannis over with the Milwaukee Bucks? It really, truly is the perfect combination that you can have. We've heard Giannis say before, when Luka got traded to the Lakers, Giannis was one of the first people to say, I hope all these international players end up in the big markets. Now, that could mean Giannis ends up in Chicago. It means Giannis could end up in New York. It could maybe potentially mean that Giannis ends up in LA with the Lakers. Hell, for all I know, the Clippers, obviously both being in the LA market. But the only way something like this happens is if Giannis just scares away every other team in the league and just says, look, I want to play with one player and I want to play with one team. I want to be a Laker and I want to play with Luka Doncic. That's the only way it happens. That's it. There is no other option because there is no trade ass package out there. And the Lakers don't have all these unbelievable young talent that they just have been cropping left and right. And everybody's looking at them saying, oh my gosh, if we can make a trade and get our hands on these players, watch out. That's not going to be the case. It's just that's not what the Lakers have. That's not the situation that they're in. And one of the advantages that the Lakers have had in the past, and I think this just kind of comes sometimes with the market size, or it might come with advertising opportunities, or it might come with just, it's the Lakers. It's one of the bigger brands in all of sports. Only way something like this happens is Giannis Antetokounmpo, which there's been no indication that that this is the case. There's been no indication that Giannis wants out of Milwaukee and only wants to play for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's the only way it can happen. That's it. There is not a trade package out there that another team wouldn't offer. This is why a lot of people thought the Dallas trade, when they initially traded for Luka Doncic, this is why so many of the NBA and the league and the executives and everybody else was like, why in the F would you only do a deal with the Lakers until Luka Doncic is telling you, I'm not playing for any other. You could trade me to any team that you want, but I only want to be a Los Angeles Laker. And there was no indication of that. I think that's what it would take. It's something that Eric Pincus and I talked about last week. I took that clip and I put it up, last week, and it was basically kind of a similar conversation here. But the difference is now there's actually articles out there. Now there's somebody like Shams out there talking specifically about Giannis and saying that he's open. He'll explore best fits outside of Milwaukee, and that's the first time that we've seen that officially. All right, let me look at some of the comments here as we keep things going here. All right, first off, shout out Kate B, new member. Kate, 10 o'clock. Come join for the MVP member show coming up at 10 o'clock. Ray Sean, thank you very much. I appreciate the two of you becoming members. Very, very kind of you guys. Thank you for being members. Thank you to anybody who is a member. Even if you're not a member, it's all good. But if you want to be a member, we're doing an MVP member show at 10 a.m. this morning. Okay, let me take a look at some of the comments here. I'm behind. Very, very behind on all the comments. Let's see. Keep dreaming. We can't max 3 people. I will say this. I wonder if there is a world where really the only kind of flexibility that the Lakers would have this offseason is if LeBron takes a lot less. And I don't think there's any indication that LeBron would take a lot less. However, I wonder if there was a world where they had a chance to get a guy like Giannis. What would that potentially mean for what the Lakers would it mean something different for LeBron as he goes into his 23rd year in the NBA? We'll have to wait and see. Good morning, Alan. For Giannis, sure, trade AR, but that's the caliber of trade it will take. Caruso is a perfect example of regret among the fan base once AR is gone. Alex Caruso, I'm going to give this man maybe more credit than he deserves. The Oklahoma City Thunder are not tied to a piece unless Alex Caruso's on that team, because they should probably be down 3-1 if it wasn't for Alex Caruso yesterday. I know it's a pipe dream, but Giannis and Luka on the same team, it's not even that it would be, hey, it would be great to see them. No, it's actually kind of the perfect fit. Spurs have better assets. These are the teams that you're worried about. The teams that you're worried about, the San Antonio Spurs, we still haven't got a chance to see them with, by the way, they got the Rookie of the Year last year. They just traded for De'Aaron Fox. Victor Wembanyama is, everybody can tell me about Victor Wembanyama. They got assets all over the place. Can you imagine, what kind of trade package they could put together? And frankly, if I'm Giannis and Giannis is saying, okay, hey, where could I be for the next few years? What is it that they want to accomplish? What kind of I don't think, and maybe I'm just taking Giannis's words on this. Does Giannis have to be in a big market? Does he have to be? I don't know. I don't know if he needs to be in a big market. I know he's mentioned big markets before. San Antonio certainly is in a big market. Lakers have no chance at Giannis. Thunder and Rockets will take a chance, even if it's a rental. That's actually an interesting one there. If Giannis is, beyond, guys, I'm not playing for any other team. I'm not signing a contract other than with the Los Angeles. Let's just say Giannis took that stance. Now, remember, Giannis, no matter what, he would be under contract. I know he's got a player option, but I don't think that's for, I want to see when that player, just to make sure, I want to see when that player option is. That way, if a team does trade, they'll know exactly how long. They know they're going to have him for 2 years. They know they'll have him for 2 years. If there's a time to trade your star player, this is the timing of it. So if you are Milwaukee as well, and you feel like, okay, we know that this guy is not going to be here long term, we might as well just get the maximum amount from a package perspective. I think that's actually probably the best point out there. Even if Giannis tries to steer his way to a specific team. By the way, let's just not even say it's the Lakers. Let's say he says the Knicks, or he says Miami, or one of these other teams that don't have as many draft assets or don't have as much from a trade asset perspective. You are right that there could be some teams out there that say, we'll take a shot at it. We'll take Giannis for 2 years, and we'll prove to Giannis this is going to be his new home. This is where he's going to want to be, and then go from there. So it's not like other teams don't have a little bit of leverage, because that contract, 2025, 2026, he's under contract. 2026, 2027, he's under contract. And then 2027, 2028 is when he has that player option. So you would if you traded for Giannis Antetokounmpo this summer, you have control of him for 2 years. And then it's up to him in 2 years to decide what he wants to do. He could deter you away from it, but I think 2 years is enough to make teams say, we'll take our chances with that. So that I think is it's a good observation there, and I think that's a good comment. If you can't understand why Giannis and Luka is a good fit, maybe you should follow golf. Well, it's kind of really, to be honest with you, it's just a complete no-brainer. I don't even think there's a conversation here. You cannot find a better fit from I think for both of these guys. Listen, I'm sure there's better fits out there. I'm sure we could think of it. But Luka and Giannis, that is what it is. The question, I'm going to continue to go back to this. Lakers don't have much of a package to send. They just don't. There just isn't much to send. Even the assets that they kept. Okay, they didn't. When they traded for Luka, the fact that they kept Austin Reeves, absurd. The fact that they kept Dalton Connect and that 2031 pick, absurd. They kept some assets. They have some assets, but are those assets going to be enough to go get Giannis Antetokounmpo? I think it's fair to say that's going to be a really, really tough, obviously a really, really tough path. All right. Thank you very much for watching the clip. Just want to give a shout out here to one of our partners, the Wallace Firm. They are official injury attorney of the Sliwa Show and Hoops Talk, the entire channel. If you are ever in a need, and I hope you're not, but some type of serious injury with yourself or a family member of yours, I would like to personally help you by introducing you to the best in the business, Brad Wallace and the Wallace Firm. Also got a URL out here that you can use as well.
just go to wallacewins.com/Sliwa. Thank you for their partnership, and thank you for being a part of the Sliwa Show.